The symbiotes are back with a vengeance. Was the showdown between the two most popular symbiotes Marvel has to offer as good as advertised? Find out when Johnnie Torch reviews Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Sony's version of Venom was never going to be for everyone. Purists like myself scoffed at creating a version of Marvel's self proclaimed lethal protector without first introducing the rivalry with Spider Man and delving into the Black Suit saga. To their credit, however, Sony did manage to craft a very compelling film with the first Venom, thanks in no small part to the brilliant performance by Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, who takes on sort of an odd couple relationship with the symbiote he plays host to, Venom. Venom Let There Be Carnage picks up where the previous film left off, where Eddie Brock interviews serial killer Cletus Cassidy to aid the police in uncovering his heinous crimes. In the process, Cletus feels drawn to Eddie, and ultimately, before Cletus gets the chair, he bites Eddie, ingesting some of his symbiote-tainted blood, and let there be carnage. The film is sort of a story of two halves for me. Once Cletus actually becomes Carnage, the film takes off and more or less reaches its potential. The first half, however, feels like it's faced with several very interesting ideas that were not well executed. When we left Venom and Eddie in the first film, there was this idea that they were going to be the lethal protector. However, in this film, Eddie is basically trying to constantly keep Venom in check, which turns out to be no small task. The film really needed an early action scene, a place where we get to see Eddie Venom trying to act as a hero and not completely meeting the task. A bank robbery or hostage situation. Instead, we get a half-hearted scene in which Venom tries to aid a mugging victim that really didn't need all that much help in the first place. And the odd couple differences they must cope with could be a reasonable outgrowth from their differing views on fighting crime. Eddie wanting to put the bad people away, and Venom seeing them as a means for his annoying desire to consume brains. Instead, they just seem like roommates that are tired of looking at each other. They bicker, they squabble, they get on each other's nerves to the point they fight, and Venom takes off. Some of this is handled pretty well, but most of it seems woefully underdeveloped. As if a treatment was written that said Eddie and Venom have a falling out and fight, and Tom Hardy showed up to work that day and just came up with whatever that meant on the spot. Venom goes off to a rave, and honestly, I have no idea what that is. And again, instead of coming up with something funny or off the wall, Venom just makes some kind of little speech about being true to yourself or whatever. It just falls flat. This could have been played for a very interesting situation where Venom and Eddie both realize how much they really need each other. Fortunately, as I said, I think the pace picks up quickly after that. Woody Harrelson is a natural for the role of Cassidy, and he chews the scenery appropriately with enough reserve to keep him as grounded as can be expected in a film of this type. He takes up with his childhood crush, Shriek, played by Naomi Harris, who is equally adept to the role, and both take to avenging themselves and each other on the people they hate the most. One of these is Detective Mulligan, who shot Shriek's eye out as a kid. It's at this point that Eddie's ex, Anne, once again played by Michelle Williams, re-enters the story with her fiancé, Dr. Dan. They find Venom, who has been apparently burning through hosts like it's going out of style, which led me to question, is he killing these poor schmucks? A question, like many raised in the film, that goes unanswered. He's currently taking up residence temporarily in Mrs. Chen. Anne tries to coax Venom out of Mrs. Chen and into her in order to go help and save a defenseless Eddie. This is where the humor was somewhat more successful. The absurdities of the situation are not overplayed to the point of being crass. Once Venom bonds with Anne, they rescue Eddie, and Venom wants an apology before reuniting with Eddie. I really liked this scene as well. There's some strange, compelling rapport that goes on between these three that never gets explored but is just out there dancing on the fringes of the two films. Eddie loves Anne, Venom seems to approve of Anne and wants her somehow in their lives, and Anne kinda loves Eddie still, and seems to admire Venom, and not mind in the slightest when he borrows her body from time to time. Let's just say it's a unique dynamic. The stage is then set for the big climactic battle between Venom and Carnage. The thing I liked about the resolution was also something that didn't quite get explored enough in the film. Eddie tells Venom that the reason they're a great team and why they'll beat Carnage is that they complement each other, while Cletus and Carnage are at odds. It would have been nice to explore that dynamic a bit more as well. What are Carnage's ambitions beyond killing Venom? What does he really think of Cletus? Are they buddies? Or does Carnage see him merely as a skin suit, a means to an end? This is the only place where I think the film might have benefited from another 10 minutes or so. But as it is, the 90-minute runtime is about where the film needs to be. The film does suffer from the genre's carnal sin of killing off its antagonist. Venom simply eats Carnage, which I guess doesn't necessarily preclude the possibility of him regurgitating him at some point. Cletus is not so fortunate, however. Maybe they couldn't afford Harrelson for a second film. Oh well. As for Shriek, her fate is less conclusive. After all, no body, no confirmed kill, and Mulligan's fate is sort of left as a cliffhanger possibility that comes out of left field. With Eddie and Venom reconciled, the mid-credit scene, which has the whole fandom abuzz, shows them hanging out in some island resort. Something happens that shifts reality, and they're shown J. Jonah Jameson reporting on Spidey's identity being outed from the end of Far From Home. Venom seems to recognize Spidey, setting up a merging of the Sonyverse and MCU timelines. It's tough to tell how this was caused in the brief segment. My first reaction was that they were blipped and returned to present day MCU, meaning they always existed in MCU canon. But there are many possibilities. This could have something to do with the WandaVision and Loki TV shows, or more likely Doctor Strange's dealings with the multiverse in No Way Home and or Multiverse of Madness. In any case, time will tell. So in the end, a somewhat messy first half is redeemed by a tighter second half, some good performances and CGI spectacle. It's probably a middling entry, all things considered, but good fun all around. I'm giving Venom Let There Be Carnage 4 stars out of 5. A B. Until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.